Hi, everyone. Welcome to another review of The Last of Us. This time we are reviewing episode 8. So, we are already in the home stretch of the first season of The Last of Us. There are only 2 more episodes to go. There is still plenty of story to tell. The biggest mystery for fans is not really what happens at the end, because most people, I'm sure, who are watching the show have probably played the video game. The biggest mystery, therefore, is whether they finish out the season with the remainder of what happens in the first video game or leave us waiting on a cliffhanger. I really hope they finish out the game, but that also leaves a lot on the cutting room floor. Here's hoping they nail the landing. We will see next week. In this episode, Joel is still looking like he might not make it after the fallout of what happened 2 episodes ago. Ellie is still taking care of him, and she decides it's time to go find some food. She leaves him by himself to go hunt. After killing a deer, she runs into some men who find the kill before she does. They are part of some religious group or cult introduced at the very beginning of the episode. Troy Baker, who played Joel in the video game, makes his debut in the series as one of the men. The other is the cult leader David, who seems at first to be the more sympathetic of the two. Notice I said cult leader and discarded the religious leader part? That's because this is a man who is a wolf dressed in sheep's clothing. Ellie isn't falling for his nice guy act and bargains with the two to get medicine for Joel in exchange for the deer. After getting the medicine for Joel and injecting his wound with it, she ends up getting captured and finds out what David is really about. David worships the cordyceps virus because they do what they must to survive. He in turn survives and takes care of his group by feeding them dead people. David is an even more sinister brand of evil than Kathleen. While Kathleen was more driven by revenge, David is driven by a deranged moral compass that has him believing that what he is doing is actually the right thing to do. He wants to survive no matter the costs. These make for the best villains when you can actually maybe see a shred of truth in their belief, when they're not killing or raping people for their own violent nature, that is. Bella Ramsey puts in another great performance as Ellie, who has been broken yet again by humans and not the infected monsters that you would think would be humanity's worst enemy. It further solidifies the truth behind the saying that humans are indeed their own worst enemies. That is mainly the theme of The Last of Us, if you ask me. You wonder why we haven't seen the monsters that much in this show? It's obviously because they are not the focus behind what this apocalyptic world is about. As I said before, Bella puts in another wonderful performance, and dare I say it, maybe she one-ups last episode, which I thought was her best. It was beautiful to see Pedro Pascal back in action after being non-existent for an episode and a half. He kills guys from the cannibal cult with no remorse as he tries to find Ellie. Then we see his softer side when he calls Ellie his baby girl after she escapes in a rage-filled stupor from David's predatory advances. It really showed that Joel and Ellie only have each other in this broken world where revenge and sadistic notions of morality reign supreme. Great episode, 8 out of 10 for me. The real question? Where do we go from here? Do we finish out in a flurry of events in the last episode? Or do we decide to finish up next season? That will be the real question. Can The Last of Us stick the landing without relinquishing what has made this series so special? We will see next week when we venture back into the void.